Production funding for Houston Have Your Say, provided by Sterling Bank, world-class banking, deep Texas roots. Production funding for Houston Have Your Say, also provided by Chevron, Human Energy. Houston Have Your Say is produced by Houston PBS in partnership with the Center for Houston's Future, Houston Community Newspapers, and KUHF, Houston Public Radio.
Producer Laura Lucas interviewed Dr. Stephen Klineberg, a Rice University professor and sociologist who conducts the Houston area survey.
Our children are moving into a different kind of reality where, unlike all previous generations, education is now the definitive criterion of success. People need to just understand that, internalize it. The 21st century is a different place, and the education was enough for me or my father will not be enough for my children, and above all for my grandchildren. There are two major revolutions that have transformed the 21st century. One is the end of the blue-collar path to economic success. The blue-collar path has disappeared forever, gone forever as a chance for a young man and woman to graduate with a high school diploma, come out into the Houston American workforce, and expect to be able to make a middle-class wage. And the other, of course, is this remarkable demographic revolution. All the growth of Houston in the last quarter century has been non-Anglo growth, primarily immigration from Asia, Latin America, Africa, and the Caribbean. And the result is we are at this hinge in history where literally 70% of everybody over 60 in Harris County, Texas today, 70% of everybody over 60 is Anglo. And 80% of everybody under 30 is non-Anglo. And we are right here at this remarkable moment. The two groups overwhelmingly the most likely to be living in poverty, least well served by the structures of the city. And we know what poverty does to your ability to succeed in the public schools. I tell anyone who will listen, it is a safe statement to make, that if Houston's African American and Latino young people are unprepared to succeed in the knowledge economy of the 21st century, it is hard to envision a prosperous future for Houston. There's a major crisis in education in Houston that is there because of this new reality. The kind of education that we've been producing and providing to our students worked fine during the oil boom age, when we were the oil field manufacturing capital, when there were good blue-collar jobs in the city. Those jobs have disappeared forever. The crisis is that we are not preparing the bulk of the population of Houston for the jobs of the 21st century.
Now, I understand that a fourth of the students who graduate from high school are actually ready for college. They're college ready. But when they go to community school, they tend to have some challenges that you have to remediate. So, Chancellor of Houston Community College, Mary Spangler, Dr. Spangler, tell me what you're seeing.
Well, in 2002, as a matter of fact, when we became founding members of the Achieving the Dream movement that is funded by the Lumina Foundation, we learned that about 93%, in fact, of our incoming freshmen were not college ready. That is a horrendous number. In the last 5 years, as we have worked on that project, we have been able to change that so that now, in fact, we have 65% of our students who are coming in more prepared to be able to function at the college level. We actually are saving about 900 of our students every year through strategies that we are able to demonstrate through data that we are able to show. They are learning, they are prepared through screening tests and through linking of classes, through career-ready exploration courses. They have mentors. They are being very effective in learning. It is an opportunity for them really to be prepared to go on, and our transfer rate, our graduation rate is increasing. We have increased the numbers of students from 55,000 students approximately in 2007 to now over 71,000 students that are attending Houston Community College, and our numbers are increasing. We have become an Achieving the Dream Leader College because of our success with making students ready for college.
We have a phone call from Julie. Julie, what is your question?
Hello?
Hello.
My question is, why not create the value-added system based on a test at the beginning of a school year during the first week, and then a test re-administered during the last week of school or the end of school within the same teacher's classroom, rather than the value-added system that they're trying to put in place right now, where teachers are judged on test scores that are compared with test scores from the previous year's classroom and teachers. And this is a basis of real problems in HISD.
Who wants to take that?
So it is a 2-point test. I mean, the August school state till May is one way of looking at it, and of course we have our Stanford test and we have TAKS, and what happens now is right now, next week, all of our students will take the TAKS test, and they are projected to have some sort of grade based on their previous, based on their demographics, based on where they are. There's an expectation on that test, and then they'll take it again next year. So it's at the end of one school year and the end of the next school year. And I see what she's saying, take it at the beginning, but it's pretty much, it's April and school is out in May. So it's very close to what she's saying on the TAKS. And we use a 2-prong. And usually the challenge that a lot of folks have is the Stanford test. And that's so that it's not just a single-point test. And that's in January. So you get a kid in August, and then they take their first national norms test in January. And there's also an expectation, but the value add and the growth measurement is the reason that is such an answer is because it's not saying the child has to pass the test or has to pass it to. We're expecting 1 year's expected growth.
Okay.
So it's a tough and very complicated system, but right now,
I don't know,
and
the
it's
teachers learn that
evolving.
system.
It's evolving.
Representative Robert Eissler.
Yes, I went through Navy flight training just a few years ago, and they had this pre-test, post-test system, and they thought it was a great idea, and it didn't take us long to figure out below the pre-test, so you look like a star on the post-test. So you have to have some stakes in the test, so going from the end of one year to the end of the next year is going to give you your best relationship, or at least your best scoring. I learned.
We get a lot of questions about what works. What if this works? What if this, try something different? I think when you look at the data, it's pretty clear what works. We have some really good schools in the Houston area and across the state, and we really need to use those as examples of what really can work for our students. And so we know that for high-poverty kids, small, engaging learning environments work. We know that more time on task works. We also know that more time on task is very expensive. So we're going to have the political will to say we are going to spend more money to have teachers spend more time in the classroom. We need parents involved, and we need, and some of these things that we're talking about in terms of performance of teachers, we need teachers with a missionary zeal. So those teachers that bring that zeal to the classroom do need to be rewarded for that, because we know that really works for keeping kids engaged and making sure that our students are successful.
Michael Holthouse, you're a philanthropist, an entrepreneur, and you sort of represent the business community and how important it is for the business community to be involved in this process. Tell me why you got involved and why you think it's so important.
When most Americans think about education, they immediately jump to school. They think about academics and reading and writing and math and science. But there's really two different sides to education. There is, of course, the importance of academics, but there's also social and emotional learning. A set of leadership skills, discipline, hard work, an understanding of what's right and wrong, and a moral compass. It's being inventive and operating yourself with integrity. And that set of learning is every bit as important as the academics. In fact, many studies suggest that it's more so. The Partnership for 21st Century Learning did a major study several years ago and worked with corporate America around what are the skills that you're looking for, what are the skills that you're going to hire for. Now, clearly, you got to be able to read. That's the basis of all education. But the ability to work in teams, to lead teams, to communicate, to get along with others, to give up in the short term for the long term, the creativity, those are the things that make America great. Those are the things that we have to have on a go-forward basis. So when we think about education, we can't define education as, are we preparing our kids just to get out of high school or preparing them for college? We've got to prepare them for life, to be healthy, happy, contributing members of society that add value, that pay taxes, that support their family. We need a new definition for education in America.
Donna Cole is a business owner, and you were involved with American Leadership Forum on Cradle to Prison study. What happens when we don't educate?
What happens when we don't educate? We're spending too much of our tax dollars for these kids going into prison. It costs $69,000 a year to keep a child incarcerated today versus $7,500 in public education. So it's easy to say, well, that's not where we want to spend our money, and that we need to look into this as the community and the public to say we all have to jump on board. We have to see that tipping point to make a difference so that even our personal safety isn't in jeopardy anymore.
Lori Vetters, you are a past chair of the Greater Houston Partnership Education Committee. I know you know a lot. What do employers need, and what are they concerned about? What is the business community concerned about right now with what's happening?
Let me take a step up, because I want to talk about something Michael said, and it's really important, and I don't want us to miss it. He said, well, obviously they've got to be able to read. 14% of black children across the country, according to the Children's Defense Fund, read on level at 4th grade. 17% of our Latino population. 42% of our Anglo population. There's a lot of information and research that tells us that if a child cannot read at the 3rd or 4th grade level, the chance that they will drop out of school is very, very high. So I think we need to focus a little bit as we talk about this on early childhood. And the reason for that is that we aren't spending, I think, enough time thinking about, can that child read effectively? Because when the books get really harder at 3rd and 4th and 5th grade, that child gets maybe disengaged because it's not relevant, but that child is embarrassed. They're behind.
And we'll get back to that on the third segment. Thank you. So remember, you can call us at 713-743-8357 or join the conversation online at houstonpbs.org/have-your-say. And we've heard the challenges we face. Now we'll talk about solutions. In our next story, we feature 2 schools, Madison High School, the most improved in HISD last year, and the Southwest campus of Yes Prep, a public charter school. Every day at 1 p.m., students and teachers at Madison High School stop everything to take a half an hour to read. That's just one of the best practices at the school that has led to its most recent recognition.
What you got the first time, can we get the second time again or not?
Only a few years ago, the school had a lot of problems.
Reliable, right?
The students were underperforming. There were some student management issues in terms of discipline. There were some systems type issues in terms of developing consistency and accountability in the system.
Insects survive in the rainforest. How?
But last year, Children at Risk, a local children's advocacy organization, voted Madison High School as the most improved school in HISD.
From a science end, our students were not performing very well academically. Also, we had some math challenges. There were some challenges in terms of English language arts.
Students were scoring below 40s in math and science in the TAKS test. That's the state-mandated Texas Assessment of Knowledge and Skills test. And language arts was not much better. But these scores changed dramatically in just 2 years.
We've improved the achievement piece, which means that we've hit the mark, and we've also improved the growth of students. And that's where a lot of the most improved comes in, is the growth.
You need those two key components. You need to know what a slope is.
HISD's Aspire program measures student growth from the time a teacher gets a student when the school starts until the end of the school year. The growth is partly assessed on 2 tests, the TAKS and the Stanford test.
There was more of a change in the way in which we attacked and approached students and the way in which teachers work together. We have here what we call a professional learning communities model, and that model requires that teachers work collaboratively in teams where they engage in collective inquiry. They look at those 3 questions: what do we want students to know and be able to do? How do we know that they've learned it? And what do we do if they don't learn it?
Am I making sense?
Dr. Jocelyn Reed has been teaching at Madison for more than 20 years. She has her own reasons for the recognition.
Teachers feel that they have more ownership to voice their concerns. But I would mostly say the collaboration, the data-driven information that we work with, and the mere fact that our administration continues to give us research information. And it helps. The kids also have a feedback sheet that they have to complete, and that lets them know what objectives they're weak on.
Many students agree feedback and collaboration are key. Enmer Cardona is a college-bound senior, and he shares what he thinks will keep Madison at the top and its students on track.
Keep getting the students' attention. Try to reach them. Try to reach to them. Try to listen to them. Try to see what's going on. Try to get more feedback from them.
Just a few miles down the road is the southwest campus of the Yes Prep school system, a free chartered public school system. It isn't known for athletics, fancy buildings, or a great arts program. But last year, the system won a major recognition. Newsweek and U.S. News & World Report ranked the southeast campus of Yes Prep School, serving low-income minority students from the 6th to the 12th grade, as its best public school in Greater Houston.
Today what we're working on is what I talked about earlier about who you are as a person.
It's not magic. It's bringing in outstanding teachers. We tell people that, you're going to be in for the ride of your life. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be rewarding, and it's going to be hard.
So hard you might want to be young. The average age for each teacher is 27 years. It also helps there's a waiting list, and most students want to be here and have thought about college when they apply. Everyone knows they have to work hard.
All our teachers gather together, they collaborate, they share best practices, they share lessons with each other. So there's a real collaborative spirit of, if there's a campus doing something that's improving student achievement, that gets shared throughout the schools.
Everywhere you walk, there's a reminder of the school's values and its mission.
We're developing a system, where we would reward teachers not based on tenure, but based on student achievement.
Why is B the correct answer?
A typical day starts at 7:35 and ends at 4:35. Every fourth Saturday, everyone does community service, bringing teachers and students together for quality time. Students also have 24-hour access to teachers, and they get constant feedback.
I really understand that the role here is both an instructor and a mentor and a motivator of students, and a person that kind of leads the way to helping students uncover what their passion is, their potential. Instead of using those kind of cliches, I believe Yes works because it has a really strong foundation. The expectations, both from the students, from the teachers, and even from the parents, are very clear. And we're all sort of working together in a family environment.
But the teacher attrition rate is high, at around 20%.
Okay, what else should a personal statement highlight about who you are? Junior.
For Cirilo Portales, who was on the verge of flunking and dropping out in his old school, Yes represented the opportunity of a lifetime.
I saw the difference. The teachers paid a lot more attention to you. If you had problems, you could stay after class, stay after school, call the teacher. Homework wasn't just something that you did just to get done. It was something that you did to learn. It's a very small campus. We help each other. We are role models for each other. We help each other improve.
His parents were supportive. Each Yes family gets a home visit by the principal, and they make a symbolic contract. The most important promise, to make sure their kids show up on time and do their homework.
It's like a big deal in my household. They push me. The major difference is the workload. It's a lot of work, and the teachers are actually dedicated to help us, and they want us to succeed.
According to Yes Prep, 100% of graduating seniors go to college.
I know I am lucky because I always knew that I was very smart and I could go to college. It's just like my family didn't have the money, and like I didn't get the opportunity, but now I know I do. So,
where are you going to go to college?
Vanderbilt University.
Remember, you can call us or join the conversation online at houstonpbs.org/have-your-say. And we've heard a little bit from Michael Holthouse and about early education, and that seems to be, almost everyone agrees that early education is a good idea, and you get bang for your buck. Carol Shattuck with the Collaborative for Children. Why aren't we implementing, or why aren't we getting more money into early education if we know that it seems to work?
Well, just to the point of it seems to work, there's just been a very recent meta-analysis done of over 120 different studies on pre-kindergarten programs, and they found that when children are part of a high-quality pre-kindergarten program, it closes about 70% of the gap, the achievement gap. And then by the time those children get to third grade, it's still closing about a third of the achievement gap. So we know when it's done well, it has a huge impact. And I think that's one of the things that's a challenge, though. I think the study one of the studies that has been done by the A&M school that Jason mentioned earlier at A&M, they did a study a couple of years ago that indicated that when children are part of a high-quality pre-kindergarten program, it does longitudinally save the state $3.50 for every dollar that it invests. And so we need to get agreement on what does high quality mean. In the state of Texas right now, we fund a half day of pre-kindergarten. We do have a degreed teacher in the classroom, which is great, but we have no limits on the number of children that can be in the classroom. And so for a pre-kindergarten teacher who has 22 or more 4-year-olds that have already been categorized as at risk, meaning from low income, English isn't their first language, homelessness, you already have children that need more attention. So to the extent that we can agree on what high quality means, we will get much better bang for our buck when not only the children that are currently eligible for pre-kindergarten are able to get the attention that they need, but also we expand the opportunity for pre-kindergarten to a larger number of children.
We have a call from Alicia. Alicia, what's your question?
My question is whether there is a program system-wide in the Houston school system that encourages community involvement in tutoring second graders after school, right at the school. I was involved in a program like that in New Orleans, and it was extremely successful in bringing these children up in their reading capability.
And best with HISD?
We work to do a lot in the Houston Independent School District to involve our community and our families in supporting schools and supporting the work of teachers. We recently are working on an effort to really coordinate all of our parent engagement activities so that we have a coordinated effort on the part of the district to engage our interested parents and our interested community members in supporting the work of schools and teachers.
Susan Kellner, Education Foundation Reform Foundation, also Spring Branch ISD. You're a big proponent of reform, and I understand this is a movement that's been building here in Texas. Tell us what's new with regards to reform in Texas.
Well, I think one of the most important things with reform is that we all need to sort of what Carol Shattuck said earlier is sort of define what is reform. And as we look at it, we keep hearing from people about that we need to change the system. I think one of the things that we're looking at in our district that is going to be critical in changing the system and reform is virtual schools. it can offer so much to so many of our students, both our high-performing students and our lower-performing students. And that really changes the dynamics. And kids, we find, are so much more engaged. They are the 21st century learners. They love technology. They embrace it. And so that's something that we're looking at as far as reform. And then the other thing that we're doing in terms of reform is we're really reaching out to our partners, whether it's the legislators, United Way, Children's Defense, anybody we can. We need to all start working together and speaking with one voice on this. And I think that's the basis for a positive reform.
Tiffany Janish, HISD Teacher of the Year. You're a kindergarten teacher, but apparently one of the reasons you got the award is technology. You're using technology with little kids. Tell us about that.
All the time. Now, they can't use it independently, but we have smart boards and things like that, and HISD incorporates all kinds of websites that we have access to in the classroom, and we use it all the time. And teachers come to me every single day for help, and I educate them as well. So it's very important. And the kids are excited. They're interacting with technology, and they're becoming an active participant in their learning. I'm not just facilitating to them.
Thank you. We have a call from Albia. What's your question, Albia?
Being a Hispanic and, of course, being of one of the fastest-growing minorities and the minorities that have the lowest rate of graduation both in high school and college, I wonder why hasn't the state looked more incisively into very successful programs that have been proven scientifically to close the achievement gap, like the bilingual program, dual language, one-way and two-way. This program should be a standard in every public school. They are very, very successful. There's a plethora of scientific investigation about this program. Why hasn't the state done more to devote more resources into programs like this? And why haven't we opened our minds, like our European and Asian counterparts, as being not only bilingual, but multilingual? This is a global world.
Thank you. I'm actually going to have Steve Amstutz first. You have dealt with English as a second language, all kinds of languages at Lee High School. What do you think about what she said?
I think so. The dual language programs that HISD has and many of our surrounding districts offer children are wonderful. I'm a proud parent of a fourth grade son who is in one of our dual language programs. And I know that being able to give him the gift of a second language and be able to think and to communicate in more than one language is a gift that'll serve him well for the rest of his life. Learning a second language, whether it's you're learning English or whether you're learning another language, is a tremendous challenge. And it takes very skilled teachers and very well thought out programs. And there are wonderful opportunities out there for parents to take advantage of if that's their interest. And I would certainly encourage them to do so.
I have two young ladies over here who dropped out of school. Tell us why you dropped out and what did you do about it? And what can you teach us about why kids are dropping out of school and what you need to do after you've dropped out?
I dropped out of school because I thought it was easier to just get a job and start working and helping my family make money, bringing home money for my family. What helped me go back to school is really being out in the workforce and realizing how tough it was. What made me go back is I saw people out there who were going to school, and there I was at home. And so there was different resources available for me to reach out to, and I was able to go back and graduate, get my high school diploma, go to college, and now working for the school district.
Good for you. And Veronica, what was your case?
Pretty much the same. I think the important thing, though, was that I was able to change my mind, go back and have someone there to support me, guide me. I wasn't overlooked or ignored. I actually went there and they said, this is what you have to do, and you need to do it. And I did it, and then they gave me the next step. Okay, this is what you need to go. You need to go to college, and then do this, and then that's what I did. And just having somebody guide you and tell you, this is what you need to do. This is your next step. It's okay if you messed up. You can always go back and do it again. Fix it. It's like that.
It sounds like you needed a lot more attention. Now, I've gotten many, many emails And there's a lot of blame game going on, but one of the things that people say, especially teachers, are we can't educate the kids sometimes because they're not disciplined because the parents don't care enough for the kids. And the parents are not being held responsible. So I have a parent up here, a parent group, Lydia Junek. How can we keep parents, or make parents more accountable? I know that a lot of them have 3 jobs and they can't make ends meet, so it's very difficult for them to do what they need to do. But your group is trying to change that.
Right. As Parents for Public School, we try to educate parents and give them the resources and the tools that they need to get to know who to talk to in the district, to address their grievances and try to find solutions to their problems. I think it's more than just parents need to be involved in public education. I think you have to have the community buy back into it. I think everyone has to agree and support public education and work to better our students and give them the tools that they need to succeed. That comes in mentoring, businesses mentoring schools. It comes with paying attention to what your children are doing and what they're bringing home and asking the questions that need to be asked. And even if you're working 3 jobs, you can still talk to your children and you still have the opportunity to question them about what's going on and stay involved in their lives.
Maggie Salomon, also a group, but what if you're Latina and you don't speak English and you just came to this country and there's no one in the school who speaks your language?
That's absolutely right. As you mentioned earlier, it's much easier to play the blame game than to try and fix the situation or improve it. And what we find, we run 9-week parent engagement classes. We have 2 pilot programs going right now in Spring Branch where the experience said that parents didn't care and parents didn't come. And we have 200 parents at each of the schools coming every week, wanting to learn how to engage with the school and how to find people within the school that speak their language and can help them advocate for their children. So I would say our experience is that it's absolutely not that the parents don't want to get involved. It's that they need an opening that is in the language that they can understand and speak so that they can advocate for their children.
Ann Stiles, you work with Project Grad. You work with kids, and what have you found in working with kids and trying to help them graduate?
One thing we know, just as Dr. Klineberg said earlier, we've got to really focus on getting our kids ready for higher education, for experiences in community college and college. That's really important for the future of our community. And we can't begin that work in high school. We have to help the children and their parents, the whole community, come together with a shared vision of higher education as being a reality for their kids. So we have to bring the parents in. We have to help the schools deal with the social and emotional needs of the students. We have to give the students some real experiences so that they can really share this vision of what's possible for themselves. So that means we have to be engaged with the higher ed community and the business community so that they have opportunities to look at new careers that aren't existing in their community. They can share this vision with each other, and the school becomes an important part of where all that can take place.
Ms. Jacobson with Genesis Works, also very important to get corporations and children linked together, and that's what you do.
So it's amazing what can happen if you give a child an experience, even in their senior year of high school, in a corporate setting, can truly transform their vision of the future. So what we do is we find students, and these are the students that are typically on the bubble. They haven't been hooked by anything. And so by giving them adequate training, just not in technical skills, but in professional skills, but then the business community comes in with internships for these students. And the students have the experience that they succeed in the corporate setting, and all of a sudden it's relevant, and they understand why they should go post-high school and get a degree. And so that's how the business play a huge role.
Dorothy Kadam, founder of Houston Hispanic Forum. You found an educator from U of H, former educator. You found out many years ago that Latinos were not graduating and they had very little information about careers. Why did you think a long time ago that it was so important to create the Houston Hispanic Forum? And tell us a little bit about it, too.
Well, first of all, we had a community session just like this of over 200 Hispanic leaders way back in 1986. And what we found there, and even published in a pull-out section from the Chronicle, was that we still have the same problems. That's 25 years later, we're still finding that Hispanic students are on the lower end of the ladder of success. They have very few opportunities. They needed role models. We were able to get together and form this one-day, what I call a convention, when we can give 50 breakout sessions with each 1 hour with role models on different careers. It's not a job fair. And we invite parents to come in and have parenting classes that day. And the other corporations and the universities, about 180 of them come and speak one-on-one. It's a wonderful event.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry we have to end it there. We will continue the conversation about solutions for another half hour in our studios with our guests. And if you want to join the conversation with our bloggers, go to houstonpbs.org/haveyoursay. You can watch this half-hour after show tomorrow on our website at houstonpbs.org/haveyoursay. Many of you shared ideas on how you can get involved. Visit your local school. Make sure you vote. Get evidence-based information. Ask how you can help the school and teachers and mentor the children. Time and time again, we hear positive relationships between students and adults make a big difference. We thank you for watching and for participating. As with everything we do at Houston PBS, it is not possible without viewers like you. And remember, you can always make a difference. Good night.
Production funding for Houston Have Your Say, provided by Sterling Bank, world-class banking, deep Texas roots. Production funding for Houston Have Your Say, also provided by Chevron, Human Energy.
For a transcript of this program, send $6.95 check or money order to the address on your screen. Include the name of the program and guest in your request.